Welcome, everybody. Adjusting my camera. Wednesday, June 26th. Hello, John Aravosis here. I had to have a snack. I was starving. All right. It's not easy to adjust this camera. Okay, I think we're pretty good. Although it's resting on my computer, which I really don't like, but I think it's good enough. All right. Welcome, everybody. How are we doing? You know what? I'm lifting this. I don't care. Hold on. I'm going to adjust my camera a little bit more here. A little this way, a little this way. Problem is, this is the kind of thing I can't do until the show starts because there's no way for me to actually see the camera until it's live, which is very inefficient. Good enough. I got a little bit of sun hitting my head, but I'll be good. Yep, coup attempt in Bolivia. Looks like it failed, according to the latest news just coming out, so that was good. President just swore in a new general, so we're hoping that's a good sign. Anyway, welcome, guys. Let me get TikTok rolling right now. 1 second here. I'm a little late because I had to have a snack. I was almost at 6 o'clock and I went, I'm hungry. And I hate when that happens at the last minute when you're like, I've got to start the show, but I'm hungry. So I had a quick bowl of yogurt with honey and nuts, which holds me over nicely. And then I'm having pizza later, but that will at least make me feel much better. All right, let's get that rolling. There we go. All right, TikTok, go live. All right, there we go. All right, there's TikTok. There's TikTok. All right, now, I may have to leave this on. Yeah, I'd rather not leave the light on high, but I'm going to have to because the sun's coming in and screwing things up. Anyway, all right. Anyway, hello, everybody. It's Wednesday, June 26th. Hello there, TikTokers arriving. Hello, TikTokers. How are we all doing? Do our usual, guys. Introduce yourselves. Say where you're from. Hey, Mustard. Thank you for the first gift there. Hey, Ash, Elizabeth, for another gift. Thank you, darling. So, hey, guys, today is, Wednesday, June 26th. Welcome all. Yak, good name. Alan, gifts from Alan too, and Tari and T-Bone. Lots of TikTok gifts. Excellent. Manuel in Puerto Rico, which I have visited, not for a long time, though. Hey, John S., more from Mustard, more from Kevin. Excellent. Introduce yourselves, guys. Just say where you're from. Usually we take a minute anyway because we sort of have to wait for people to arrive. Not too long. Thank you, Lamb Chop, for the gift, and Paul. But still, I think it's kind of nice just for people to say where you're from because it's kind of fun to see the mix of people, especially, we love our Americans, but to see the non-Americans for me is always interesting. Thank you, Tattooed, Marcy, Rocco, Flower. Lots of gifts on TikTok. Mark Starr. Excellent. That's right. Boppo in Gothenburg. Oh, kind of pished, I guess, in Estonia. I did not necessarily know the Estonian flag. I'm still working on my Baltic flags. Still a little confusing to me, but good to see you. Indiana, unfortunately. Well, I don't know Indiana that well. I'm from Chicago area, so, there's that little rivalry, not rivalry, whatever you want to call it, but bias maybe. But I went to the Indy 500. That's what I know of Indiana. It was fun. We used to go as kids. My parents would always go. Thank you, Mikey. Thank you, Amy. Anyway, guys, so welcome. There isn't a ton of news today. Thank you, Succeed. There's news today. Vladimir from Slovakia. Vladimir, hello. The name Vladimir just sounds so like Dracula to me. I know Vladimir is a common name, obviously, for Eastern European countries, but Vladimir. I forgot, in Russia, or in your guys' language, you would say, because we'd say Vladimir in English, but I'm thinking Vladimir. I'm always forgetting where the stress is. Where's the stress on that? Vladimir? If we finish in time, we can do Discord. I think we can do Discord tonight because there isn't a ton of news. So I think we can finish by 7 and do Discord. Hey, Martin, thank you for that. And Mustard, I'm going to start talking about the U.S. Embassy employee. So we will start with that in a second. Thank you, running. Oh, hello, McFadge. Thank you for the live, live future encounter. Very nice gift. Thank you. Each country is different for how they say it. Okay, that kind of makes sense. That was a very nice gift. Thank you for that, McFadge. And who is it? Yorkshire Tea. You are from the UK and visiting Orlando in October. Disneyland, Disney World, I'm guessing. Vladimir. Okay, Vladimir. That's what I was thinking. Vladimir. So it's like the D. But now, okay, other people are saying Vladimir. Of like Vladimir. Thank you, Josh. I don't remember anymore when I studied Russian how to say the name. because again, of course, in English we say Vladimir. Hey, Chazak, thank you for that. Oh, that's wild. Terry says her nephew is considering renouncing his citizenship and becoming a Ukraine citizen. He's been fighting there for 2 years, giving me some arguments why this is a bad idea. Jesus Christ. I mean, I'm impressed that he's been fighting there for 2 years. Very dangerous, but I wouldn't give up my U.S. citizenship. That just seems kind of stupid. I mean, again, I'm not sure how you argue it to him, but that's just kind of stupid. Terry, I will never remember Terry if you're a girl or guy. Okay, you're a guy. The name Terry confuses me. For some reason, I've always had you down as a woman, and your avatar is so small I can't see anyway. I see like a blue shirt. Thank you, Charles. Thank you, Joyce, for the gifts. Thank you, Chazak, Josh. I don't even know what to tell you. I just think it's really stupid to renounce your U.S. citizenship. Thank you, Suzanne. Thank you, Paul. Kind of weird the Ukrainians don't let you do both. That seems kind of stupid. But nonetheless, yeah, I would keep both if you could, but I would not give up my U.S. citizenship. That just seems really dumb. I mean, I'm glad that they feel this connection to Ukraine, but I'm not sure what to say. I just feel like it's a little impulsive, and it's not the kind of thing you can get back. Can't you have dual citizenship? You can't. I think Terry's saying no. Others are saying, yeah. Thank you, Richard, Charles, Paul for the gifts. Joyce. Yeah, that just sounds that's kind of dumb for Ukraine to do that too. You'd think they would want a lot of people to get dual citizenships if they could, Anyway, people are saying you can have dual citizenships. Some people are saying, okay. Anyway, somebody Google, this should not be too hard of a thing, but a U.S. passport's pretty damn useful. Ukrainian passport, not useful. I mean, anyway, lots of people are saying you can have dual citizenship. So he needs to figure that out. If he can have both, because otherwise there's no reason to announce U.S. That's just stupid. Currently, Ukraine doesn't allow dual. Okay, here's the story. My pet peeve here. Many of you have weighed in decisively. Some of you are wrong. You guys decisively told me you can have dual citizenship. You've decisively told me you can't. That means half of you didn't do your work, okay? It's my personal pet peeve. People who weigh in definitively on things who don't know what they're talking about. So I don't want to be rude, but if you don't know what you're talking about, don't say it definitively. Google it and get it right. No, I mean, I'm not pissed at you, but it's something that annoys me in social media and doing online work all these years. Thank you, Courtney. Thank you, Traka. Thank you, Kanapisht. Is just, you get a lot of people who like definitively say things when they're not sure. Don't Google it. Just Google it. That's all I ask. Google it. Because also, I sort of trust you guys. When somebody says it definitively, I trust that it's somebody who knows. So we had the same thing. When I was asking you guys about Hungary and Czechoslovakia and Hungary with the Russian putting down the attack, the uprisings. Remember, it was 56 and 68. It ended up being 56 is Hungary, 68 is Czechoslovakia. But I asked you guys, and you gave me both answers. If you remember, I got both answers from you guys. So anyway, all right. I'll leave you. I'll be nice now. All right. So let's get rolling here. So tomorrow is the presidential debates, the first presidential debates in America. I think we said they start at 9:00. If that is true, we got to do. Okay. Again, if it's true, I don't think Alexa can tell me this. Alexa, what time is the presidential debates tomorrow? Maybe let's see if Alexa can handle it.
The first presidential debate will take place in Atlanta on June 27, 2024, 9 p.m. Eastern Time.
Oh, okay, 9 p.m. It is 9. Joey, don't go there. It's 9 p.m. Eastern. So what we'll do is I will come online around 8:30 Eastern, okay? I will come online around 8:30 Eastern. We can talk about a little bit of the news that's going on. I think I'm going to skip the show tomorrow night, probably, so that I'm not doing like a show for an hour plus and then on with you guys for a couple hours. Let's do it that way. Thank you, Martina, for the rose. Let's do it that way. I'll come on probably 8:30, maybe even 8:15. Who knows? Because I want to put on CNN to kind of watch the pundits. Maybe I'll come on at 8. Who knows? But I'll come on around 8 p.m., 8:30. I'll set it up on YouTube and TikTok. Just remember to join. Oh, I'll be on TikTok too. Just remember to join us on TikTok. But around 8:30 Eastern Time US, I will go live. We'll hang out, and then we're going to watch the debates. I will say this. As far as watching the debates, thank you, Mark. Thank you, user 829 and Kanapisht. Kanapisht, you're very prolific today with the gifts. Thank you. As far as watching the debates, I kind of like to watch the debates. So there isn't going to be a lot of commentary, right? We're going to watch it together. I'll have it on in the background, watch it together, but there isn't a lot of, we're going to want to watch it, right? So we're going to have to watch it. Anyway, OJ the man, I'm so sorry you have to leave us for being a troll. Bye-bye. And by the way, I did order the new batteries for the Greek goat. The battery wore out yesterday. I'm getting new batteries from Amazon, and I will say it. I know some people don't like Amazon, but what a freaking gift from God Amazon is. I am able to order anything I want and get it within 48 hours, and it blows my freaking mind. It absolutely blows my freaking mind. Anyway, so yes, I've got the new batteries coming in for the goat. I'm getting like 40 of them for $5. So the goat will have enough batteries until the Russians, invade Ukraine again in 10 years. We're going to have enough batteries. So anyway, oh yeah, less than 4 hours. Oh yeah, I mean, we ordered my mom a microwave. I ordered it late at night, one night, because her microwave died. Late at night, some evening I order it. It arrived at 1 o'clock in the afternoon the next day. I mean, and it was free. Absolutely insane. Thank you, Mark. Appreciate the nice comment there. Yeah, long live the goat. So, all right. Any case, so we're going to watch the debates tomorrow night, probably starting at 8:30 Eastern Time US, maybe a little bit before there. We'll find out. There is no store to walk to. No, Yorkshire. I don't live in an area that has stores. There's a grocery store. I've got to walk 20 minutes to go to like a mall area that isn't even a mall. Oh, absolutely not. I would be going I'm trying to find a pan, for example. I don't want to go too long on Amazon because Mustard gets pissed when I go off on tangents. But I'm trying to find a pan that fits my bread loaf. I have a rising device for making bread. I have to proof the bread when it rises. It helps a lot. I'm trying to find a pan that fits it. That's not something you do to the grocery store and find. You'll never find it. You will never find it. You go to Amazon, you type in the sizes you're looking for. You're like 10 by 15, 11 by 13, and you find it. It is such a freaking joy. It's not even funny. Any case, all right, let's get back to work. So yes, the debates tomorrow night will start around 8:30, maybe even earlier, Washington, D.C. time where I am, which is the same. I did make sourdough for a very long time, and I finally put it aside for a while. I'm making regular dough now. I did make a chocolate bread, by the way. My chocolate bread is cooling right now, but I've got a recipe from David Leibovitz, who's a friend of mine, who's a very well-known American baker living in Paris. Great guy. And David, I trust David's recipes. They're really good. But I made a recipe for chocolate bread that... Chocolate, by the way, I'll stop with this. Chocolate yeast bread, you've got to be careful because sometimes a lot of the recipes are bread with a little bit of chocolate flavoring, and it's weird. It's like bread that's a little bit chocolatey. It's just weird. Thank you, Jamie. Thank you, Kenapisht. David's very good. Just from the little nibble I've had, I think this recipe is a keeper, but we shall see. I will let you know later. All right. Let's go. So today's day 833 of Vladimir Putin's special 3-day military operation in Ukraine. Thank you, Jetta. Thank you, Vicky. Weird story today, okay? So a story breaks earlier today. I did not cover it. I didn't do a TikTok or anything on it because I was a little suspicious. Thank you, Mark, for the rose. I was a little suspicious. I'm still a little suspicious, but now in reverse. So I was initially suspicious because it was a story that a U.S. Embassy employee died in Kyiv. Thank you, Dive Hard, at his hotel, at the Hilton. Thank you, McFadge. Thank you, Vicky, at the Hilton. And I was a little suspicious because the only people that had the story were like, some Ukrainian publication I've never heard of. And then Newsweek picked it up, and Newsweek isn't Newsweek anymore. Anybody who used to know what Newsweek was, Newsweek used to be a very good publication. Now they sold the name to like people that literally just rewrite rumors on the internet. It's terrible. No real publication reported on this today, that a U.S. Embassy employee died in Ukraine. That made me suspicious. That's why I didn't repeat the story. Now I'm suspicious the other way, and here's why. State Department does their briefing today, the U.S. State Department. The guy, Matt Miller, who's a spokesman, doesn't even mention that a U.S. Embassy employee in Ukraine died, okay? Now, obviously, when a U.S. Embassy employee in Ukraine dies suddenly in his hotel, right, you're going to have suspicions. I mean, right, immediately, we know where all of our minds go when you hear that story. I mean, again, I don't even have to guess this, right? Every single one of us hears that story and goes, did the Russians do it, right? If the Russians didn't do it, it is in the U.S.'s interest to put that story out immediately, to immediately put out the story and comment and say, right, yeah, this guy died. It was natural causes or whatever. You would, again, if the Russians didn't do it, you would put the story out immediately because otherwise the rumor mill would pick it up and go crazy. We did not comment. We did not confirm it. They waited until the State Department briefing today. I watched the briefing. He didn't even bring it up, the State Department spokesman, during the briefing. The briefing went for an hour. At the end of the briefing, somebody raised the issue and he said, oh yeah, a State Department employee did die today in Ukraine. We extend our condolences and all indications are he died of natural causes, no foul play. He waited until the very end of the briefing. He didn't tell anybody, but he waited until he got asked at the end of the briefing. Thank you, Pedro. I have worked in politics for 40 years in Washington, D.C., national politics. When you bury something at the end of a briefing and you don't even mention it unless you get asked about it, it means you're trying to hide it. Now, again, 95% of me believes that this guy died of natural causes, okay? 95% of me does. 5% of me knows politics well enough to know that if you die of natural causes, you come out and say it because the whole world is thinking the Russians killed the guy, right? So obviously you want to kill the story. If the Russians didn't kill the guy and you know it was natural causes, you immediately come out hours ago and say, you issue a statement, yes, a U.S. Embassy employee died. We know it was natural causes, no problem. And the story goes away. But you wait until the press conference hours later. You don't even mention it in the press conference. You wait until the end of the press conference, which is always when you slip in weird stories. Thank you, Jonathan. And you wait until you get asked the question, so they weren't even going to mention it. My final point here is, and again, maybe it's not even 5, maybe it's 7%. But if the Russians killed the guy, we would not want to admit it publicly because it would be an act of war. Would the Russians kill a U.S. Embassy employee? Of course they would. Of course they would. Of course they would. Would we admit it publicly? I don't think so. I think the Biden administration would be afraid that it's an act of war. And, let me put it this way. They handled this horribly. Okay. Thank you, Jonathan. Thank you, World is my oyster. They handled this story horribly. I will say definitively. The Biden administration handled this story in a way that suggests the Russians killed him. That's how they're handling the story. But I'm willing to believe, because I'm not a big fan of conspiracy theories, the simpler explanation is that this guy just died of natural causes. But it's pretty freaking weird. It's a very weird story, and they handled it terribly. All right. Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich, which I guess that's the way you pronounce it, Gershkovich. I was saying Gershkovich. Gershkovich, who is the American hostage being held by the Russians. I should say the latest American hostage being held by the Russians. He is the Wall Street Journal reporter that the Russians grabbed a year and 3 months ago, March of last year. The Russians accused him of being a spy because it's what they do. They came out and claimed he was working for the CIA and this kind of crap. American reporters, thank you, Liv, tend not to work for the CIA. Now, in Russia, you don't have any Russian reporters abroad for any real publication in Russia who isn't a spy. I mean, I'm sorry. They're all spies. This is Russia. And what you've got is, thank you, Liv, again for the rose. What you've got is two things. Russia always, we've talked about this. The Russian government lies about everything. Okay, that's the first thing. The second thing is most of their people are spies, so that, of course, they think most of our people are spies because that's what they would do, right? Russia would absolutely, if you're going to be a Russian broadcaster in America or a Russian journalist in America and you're not working for the KGB, or which is now called the FSB, give me a break. There's just no way, right? So, of course, from a Russian perspective, all the Americans have to be CIA. So they grab the guy. Thank you, John, because this is what Russia does. Thank you, Adventures. Thank you, James. Thank you, John Smith. Exactly. They're projecting, as John B. just said. They grab the guy, and they're holding him hostage. Now, they're doing the same thing they did with Brittany Griner. Brittany Griner was the American basketball star who, may or may not have had a vape that had CBD in it. Honestly, the Russians lie about everything. And she admitted it. She admitted it while she was freaking in prison for life in Russia. I don't believe anything she admitted. Nonetheless, The Russians grab her as hostage. We had to trade. The Merchant of Death, the man was called. We had to trade in exchange for her. He's a Russian supervillain, sells arms to Al-Qaeda and ISIS in the Middle East, horrific man. And he was in prison for being this horrific arms merchant to terrorists. Literally, the guy's nickname was the Merchant of Death. And we had to return him because they grabbed Brittany as a hostage. Well, now they've grabbed Evan Gershkovich as a hostage as well. And they're doing it because they want to embarrass us, and they want to basically use him as a hostage to get more Russian supervillains released from Western prisons. It's disgusting. The trial started today. Of course, the Russians aren't even allowed. This is, again, Russia's such a dictatorship. They're not allowing anybody in the trial. The media can't attend the trial. The U.S. embassy representatives can't attend the trial. Nobody can attend the trial. Because, of course, Russia's a dictatorship and this is a kangaroo court, okay? This guy is a hostage. He's a hostage of the Russian government. It's what they do. I mean, guys, they take Africans, Sri Lankans, Indians, Nepalese hostages. We already know this, right? That they basically kidnapped. They've kidnapped people from all of these countries who are students and workers in Russia and forced them into joining the Russian military, right? Huge stories in the last 2 weeks about this. Cubans as well, right? They screwed a bunch of Cubans too. So we know this. Russia likes to take hostages. It's just very sad and very typical, but just very sad. So anyway, that trial started today. Interesting story about whether North Korea is sending troops to Ukraine. So there was a weird, months ago there was that weird story that some people were saying about the North Koreans are going to send 150,000 troops to Ukraine. But again, it was some bullshit rumor. I wasn't going to report it because it was a rumor, right? Thank you, Ava. Then today I see, or maybe last night or today, I see the U.S. government saying that North Korea, it would be a huge mistake for North Korea to send troops to Ukraine because the Russians will use them as cannon fodder. Thank you, Jen, for the gift. Cannon fodder, meaning the Russians will basically take the North Koreans and throw them in front just to be slaughtered by the Ukrainians. It's what the Russians did with the convicts that they've hired. It's what the Russians have done with a lot of the foreign fighters that they hired. They basically take them and just throw them at the Ukrainians in a way no civilized country would do this. They just threw them to be slaughtered. But I mean, literally like walking into machine gun fire. It's crazy. So the U.S. comes out and warns the North Koreans, this is what they're going to do to you if you send troops. Well, I heard this story and immediately, again, having worked in Washington for 40 years, I heard that and said, why is the U.S. government coming out today and warning the North Koreans that if they go to Ukraine, they will get slaughtered as cannon fodder? The only reason the U.S. would say that today is because the U.S. is worried that it's imminently going to happen. Well, Kyiv Post wrote today, and I missed this from earlier in the week, but they claim that earlier this week, North Korea announced that it will be sending troops in the form of a military engineering unit to support Russian forces on the ground in eastern Ukraine. The troops are expected to arrive on the battlefield as soon as next month. Here's the thing, and by the way, the same thing for us sending troops and the French sending troops. Once you send troops, you do begin the process of, slowly ratcheting things up. Thank you, Wayne, right? You send the troops as engineers and they could start fighting too. And basically you may start sending troops as fighters. What worries me is if North Korea sends troops to Ukraine, even if they're engineers, we're sending troops too. America won't because Biden's worried about Trump and all that crap. But the French have already talked about it. I think you are going to see the French expediting troops going to Ukraine if the North Koreans end up there in a month. I think you're going to see possibly Polish troops. I think you're going to possibly see Baltic troops from the Baltic countries, Latvia, Lithuania, Estonia. You could see British troops. Now, there may already be troops from a bunch of NATO countries. The French kind of let that one slip, right? We may already have folks there helping. But I think it is such a huge escalation if the North Koreans send troops that I think you are going to absolutely see NATO sending troops as well as the next step, because it's just such a huge deal. Now, as somebody mentioned in the comments on TikTok today, the Ukrainians do have some ways of dealing with those North Korean troops. North Korea may not be happy about it, but they've got ATACMS and lots of other weapons that can handle taking out North Korean troops. But again, it still gets a little dicey. North Korea is a nuclear power and they're crazy. I mean, the North Koreans are literally crazy. Their government's crazy. Russia's not crazy. Russia's evil in many ways, the government, but they're not crazy. The North Korean government is certifiably crazy. Ask anybody who's an expert on foreign policy, and they will tell you those guys are nuts. Them getting killed in Ukraine gets dicey, but there's no choice if they're actually there helping the Russians. Ukraine's military intelligence agency carried out a cyber attack on several of Russia's largest internet providers in Crimea today. Satellite imagery obtained by Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty shows at least 2 pockets of fire, consistent with local accounts of 2 drones attacking the field ammunition depot in Russia overnight. The European Union is expected to sign a security agreement with Ukraine President Zelensky on Thursday, pledging to keep delivering weapons, military training, and other aid to Kyiv for years to come. The agreement will lay out the EU's commitment to help Ukraine in 9 areas of security and defense, blah, blah, blah. I find these agreements kind of stupid. Thank you, Jeremy. Thank you, Real Joy. Thank you. Anybody else that I miss? Real Joy again. I think we're caught up. I find these agreements kind of stupid, only because, I mean, these general agreements that we will continue to help you with weapons and technology. I guess it sounds good. Thank you, Mary. But it's not like Ukraine can hold us to it. Thank you, Mary, for the heart puff as well. It's not like they can hold us to it, right? I mean, right? Like Trump comes in or whoever, the fascists take over in France, they're going to cut off Ukraine. Thank you, Family Lavery. So I'm sure there's a political reason why this is nice to have these kind of statements and these agreements, but it strikes me as kind of bullshit, to be honest. Thank you, Jay Ticker. So speaking of bullshit, New York Times story. We've got, this is the 75th anniversary year of NATO's founding. NATO was founded in 1949, right? So the 75th anniversary, NATO defensive coalition. And the anniversary summit is taking place in Washington soon. Oh, that's a dumb troll. How much do you donate to Ukraine? Over $100,000. How much have you donated to Ukraine? Oh, fat bore. If you're going to come and be a troll with the big boys, you better be ready. I've raised well over $100,000 for Ukraine. Thank you for asking. And by the way, if you like the fact that I've raised over $100,000 for Ukraine, please, and doing it for free, by the way, and I took none of the money. I raised it for Ukraine and took none of the money. Please feel free to buy gifts on TikTok and gifts on YouTube, including subscription memberships that you can buy for a month, you can buy it for a month at a time. It renews every month. And you can even buy gift subscriptions for other people on the show. So other people in the audience can get a free gift for a month and join us on the weekend shows and everything else. So I always like to take the trolls as an opportunity to pitch support for my work. I do it full time. Thank you, Martin. Thank you, Doug. I do this full time. Thank you, Jess, for the bear as well. And I do it for free. So literally, I pay the bills with your guys' gifts. That's why I hit you up for the gifts. But I love when the trolls ask stupid questions like that. How much have you given Ukraine? $150,000, I think. How about you? So, well, that's it. How much is the troll raise for Russia? Probably not much, I'm going to guess. Exactly, none. Oh, Antonina got one. That's funny. Yeah, some of you, now, thank you, Rocco. Thank you, Christine. Some of you may notice on TikTok and YouTube that you're subscribers and don't know how. Now, on TikTok, you will know it because your name will have a little SNN in front of it. So like Ash right there has SNN. Jean-Marquis has SNN. On YouTube, your name is green. That means either you bought a monthly membership or somebody bought you a gift membership for 1 month. You can buy gift memberships and they go out and TikTok and YouTube will just give them out randomly to people. Thank you, Timothy. So a lot of you got them just by chance, right? What it means is you get a special little emoji for the month, which are little emojis you can use. Thank you, Marcy. Thank you, Marie. You also can join our Saturday show, which is the good thing. So do try to join us for Saturday if you can. Sally, oh, there you go. Sally just did a gift membership on YouTube that Emil got. I always like when it's sort of the regular, like Emil I've seen all the time coming to the show. It's nice to see like people I recognize get them too. Once you get the gift membership, you can join us on the weekend shows. Thank you, Nicholas. I do a special show Saturday morning. The show is at 11 a.m. Eastern Time US. Thank you, Marie. Thank you, John. Meaning 11 a.m. Washington, D.C. or New York City time. Thank you, Nicolette Ball, for the heart me. It's 11 a.m. Washington, D.C., 11 a.m. New York City time. That's called Eastern Time U.S. You can compare just compare to New York City. That's the easiest way. But it's 11 a.m. in the morning, and I do a show specifically just for the paid subscribers. We hang out for an hour. It's actually quite fun. It's a small group within reason. TikTok, it's maybe 100 people. YouTube might be 12 or 14. Discord might be 10, but it's a nice small crowd, and I don't prepare an actual show. So the show is literally us talking. So I can actually see your comments. I can see your comments now, but when I'm going through the news, it's kind of hard to keep up. You know what I mean? So anyway, but yes. So if you happen to get one because somebody was nice enough to gift you, make sure to come for the next couple of weeks because you can get the membership for a month. And then if you like it, you can keep supporting. You can keep paying and supporting my work. All right. Thank you, guys. Let's keep going here. Thank you, Nicolette. I'm glad you like the show. Thank you, Boo. Love you too. Thank you, Larissa, for the hearts. All right. So this is a really obnoxious story from the New York Times. I was just saying that it's the 75th anniversary of NATO. We are having the 75th anniversary summit of NATO in Washington, D.C. soon. Thank you, Randall. Thank you, Nicolette. More gifts. And Zelensky, of course, wants NATO to, at the summit, sort of present a plan for Ukraine becoming a member of NATO. Thank you, Rose. Thank you, Jane, for the gifts. Well, this stuff just cracks me up. So the Biden administration, talking to the other NATO members, thought that, they don't want to give Zelensky a path to NATO because, first of all, Hungary won't agree. Slovaks probably won't agree. Thank you, Brian. And the Russians will freak out. And, God forbid we freak out the Russians, right? We never want to do that. Thank you, Brian. I'm happy to freak out the Russians, but Biden doesn't like to. So instead of offering Ukraine NATO membership at this meeting coming up, I just love this. The thing is, I'm imagining somebody in the White House going, okay, so, thank you, Giant, for the gift from Sweden. Somebody in the White House sat there and said, okay, so at the next summit, the Ukrainians want us to give them a path forward of how they can join NATO. Rather than that, let's give them something else almost as good. Thank you, Mark, for the gift. NATO is offering Ukraine a new headquarters to manage its military assistance in Germany. We're going to give I'm like laughing. It's so pathetic. We're going to give the Ukrainians an office in Germany where they can help manage aid coming in. Exciting. We're giving them like a desk and a chair in Germany? Like, ooh, exciting. You know what I mean? And this is supposed to make the Russians go, ooh, we're scared. My favorite is the New York Times article says this was in lieu of NATO membership so that we could give the Ukrainians something. We're giving them an office in Germany. Like, who the hell cares about an office in Germany? It just, anyway, blows my mind. It's just part of the ongoing BS of the way we treat this issue and the way we're always so afraid of the damn Russians. Any case, thank you, Family Lavery, for more gifts there. It's very annoying. It's just very annoying. All right. A little bit more here. This was kind of interesting news. A satellite purchased via a Ukrainian crowdfunding campaign took 4,173 images of Russian targets in almost 2 years, according to Ukrainian intelligence. About 38% of all data received was used to prepare for attacks that caused billions of dollars in losses to Russia against Russian airfields, air defense and radio reconnaissance, oil depots, fuel storage, missiles, aircraft weapons and ammunition depots, and naval bases. So that was kind of cool. Oh boy, I'm not gonna be able to pronounce your name. Jobana Stus. It looks like a German name, but thank you for the hearts. Basically, you guys will remember this. This is remember when the Ukrainians raised money to buy like 3 Bayraktars? Where's my Bayraktar? 3 Bayraktars, which are the the Turkish drone. Remember, we're auctioning off the Bayraktar fake Lego. The auctions end tomorrow. But the Bayraktars are the Turkish drones that the Ukrainians used quite effectively to kill a lot of Russian troops. And at the very beginning of the war, they were very big. And the Ukrainians raised money to buy 3 of them. And do you remember that the Turkish company Bayraktar turned around and said, we don't want your money. We're going to give you 3 of them or whatever for free. And they did. Well, I remember the story because I remember thinking that was so cool of that company. Well, the Ukrainians turned around and bought a satellite, and they put the satellite into space, and they've been using it to attack Russian targets. So kind of cool. Just very interesting. Mark Rutte, the Prime Minister of Holland, or Holland, we say Holland, we old people call it Holland, of the Netherlands, has been appointed the new NATO Secretary General. He will take over for Jens Stoltenberg in October. Another appointment, Estonian Prime Minister Kaja Kallas will take over, or Kaja, depending how you pronounce it, will take over as the next European Union foreign policy head. Currently, the head is Joseph Borrell. You hear him quoted a lot. Thank you, Jen, for the gift. Make sure I'm not missing anybody here. You hear Joseph Borrell quoted a lot, speaking on behalf of the European Union on foreign policy. Kaja Kallas will be taking over. What's interesting about that is she's quite a hawk. I mean, on Russia and Ukraine overall. So it's really good. I mean, it's great that she is going to be sort of the new head, at least the sort of the spokesperson for the European Union on foreign policy is great. Finally, President Zelensky signed a law signed a law today establishing English as an official language of international communication in Ukraine. Now, I remember, I think Yulia, we were asking about this before. I'm not sure, but I remember kind of trying to figure out what that means. And it's sort of this, it's not an official language for Ukraine, but it's an official language for government in Ukraine. And I don't quite get what it means, but it clearly is, it's elevating English as a language to use for official diplomacy and official work in Ukraine, which is not a bad idea. Because I think any country in general, the more you speak English, the more you're going to get done around the world. Our language is the lingua franca of the world. I mean, we're doing this today, right? But I mean, it's sort of the common language people use. And to the degree Ukraine can make that sort of a higher level in terms of their government usage of English, it's just going to help the Ukrainians more for European integration, for working with the Americans, economically. I mean, everything, I think. So anyway, it's kind of a small story, but I think it's an important, good story. All right. So last two things to tell you. Remember, we have that was it for the news. So we'll do questions and comments now. Remember, Thursday, tomorrow, is the first presidential debate between Donald Trump and Joe Biden. It is happening at 9 o'clock Eastern time, US. That's 9 o'clock New York City time in the evening. We say 9 o'clock. So what is that? 2100, I think, for you guys. We are going to watch it together. I will start, my head's itching. I will start the show maybe around 8:30 at night, maybe even 8:15 or 8 o'clock. We'll see. But I'll certainly start the show by 8:30 at night, New York. I'm in Washington, D.C., same time, New York City time. And we will watch it together. But I will tell you, as I said, I'm going to be watching the debate. So while the debate's happening, I'm not going to be doing a lot of commentary. I may be yelling at the screen. But in terms of talking to you guys, I'm going to wait for the commercials because obviously we don't want to miss what's going on. Final thing is our auctions end tomorrow. Thank you, Family Lavery, for a bunch of stuff. Our auctions end tomorrow. So we've got auctions every week. The auctions benefit Ukraine. Half the money goes. Oh, I got you. Hello. Sasha's back. She got a haircut. She got a big haircut. She hates when I pick her up, but she was coming for a little, hello. She was coming for a little love. There you go. She was coming for a little love, and I tricked her. She hates when I do that. I mean, ever since she was a puppy. Oh, thank you. Who was that? Thank you. Oh, Poppy. Thank you. Ever since she was a puppy, the dog hates being picked up. Thank you, Satefu, as well for the gift. So anyway, yeah, she was coming close, and I thought I'm grabbing her. So just for you guys, we haven't had a Sasha visitation in a while. That was a cool gift. Thank you for that, Poppy. So so we have auctions every week. We get cool stuff from Ukraine, some stuff elsewhere as well. Thank you, Mikey. And auction it off. The benefits, 50% of the money I raise goes straight back to Ukraine. That's how we've raised a lot of the money for Ukraine. That's a lot of it. We've also taken direct fundraising for various things. And 50% of the proceeds, that's interesting. Oh, this is funny. Oh, wow. As I turn my phone, that's kind of cool. I didn't realize that's actually very smart. So I'm having an epiphany here over on YouTube. My iPhone that I used to beam to YouTube, I was worried because the phone was crooked. It automatically adjusts. So when I turn the phone, it still makes it even. Like it's really kind of brilliant. I'm actually because I noticed the phone was crooked. That's really kind of cool. Well, I'm just impressed by technology sometimes. Yes, that was Sasha's new Pride collar. I let the dog get to the age of 14 without ever buying her a Pride collar. Actually, I should have done that today. Today is the anniversary of the Stonewall riots, and there is a special Pride gift Actually, you can still find it if you want. There's a special Pride gift that's like a rainbow. I don't know if they called it a game bow or something. I bet they called it a game bow. I think the TikTok people meant gay rainbow. It's a little weird. But it's the Pride gift. So I should have picked it because today is sort of the official Pride Day, even though June is Pride Month, because it's the anniversary of the Stonewall riots when a bunch of gay people, okay, Dawn just gave it right there. Thank you, Dawn. Gays, drag queens, and some trans. We don't really know because back then trans wasn't quite a category. But a lot of drag queens and a lot of gay men actually rose up in New York City at a bar and stood up to the police and kind of caused a huge riot that went into days of protest against the police. Thank you, JR. Because the police would go into gay bars and just arrest people for being gay, going to a gay bar. So anyway, big deal. Thank you, Street Rat. And so today's the anniversary of that. All right, let's get rolling here. Antonina, you can ask a question. Yes, I was going to show the auction items really quick, but what's your question? You're a regular, so I trust you. Thank you, Christine, for the game bow. I don't know why they call it a game bow. That's weird. It clearly is a Pride rainbow. Yeah, I'll do the recap at the end. Yeah. Anyway, okay, when Antonina puts her question up, mods, try to grab it if you can. So let me show you the auction items, okay? So the auction items we do an auction every week. The auction benefits Ukraine, thank you, Proper Mike, and benefits me. So half the money goes to Ukraine, half the money supports me because I do this full time. So it actually helps to pay my bills. So thank you. Literally, the money I make from you guys is how I pay the bills. No one pays me to do this. So first auction item, the auctions end tomorrow night. This very cool Bayraktar drone Lego set, but it is a fake Lego. It's a knockoff Lego. Of all things, it's from China, which makes me laugh so freaking hard. Thank you, Proper Mike, for the hat. Thank you, Family Lavery. It makes me laugh because it is a knockoff Lego of the Bayraktar, which is the Turkish drone so effectively used to kill Russian troops. It is devoted to Ukraine, Ukrainian colors, map of Ukraine, blue and yellow, Ukrainian colors. Symbol of Ukraine, ZSU, I call it, however you pronounce it in Ukrainian, or ZCUY, I guess in English, but ZSU, I'm guessing. This is the symbol in Ukraine, the abbreviation for the Armed Forces of Ukraine. So this is a Lego created to honor the Bayraktar drone the Ukrainians are using to kill the Russian troops, the Turkish drone. The funny thing is, it's made in China. The Chinese, who are Russia's ally in the war against Ukraine, are selling a Bayraktar drone knockoff Lego, honoring the Ukrainians and honoring the actual weapon that is used to kill their allies, the Russians. I think it's the funniest damn thing. The fact that it's Chinese makes it even freaking better. I just think it's absolutely fabulous. So anyway, go check it out. Yeah, exactly. As Mustard says, it's currently his, but that is probably the most popular thing. A few other items. Oh, that's right. We do have, you guys asked for it. Only one person has bid, I think. You guys wanted this. So I am auctioning off the decal for this. This is my t-shirt. I made it. I took a picture of a Ukrainian Vyshyvanka. I actually have a Ukrainian Vyshyvanka, and I got really close with my good camera, photographed it with my good camera, printed it on one of those iron-on decals, and ironed it onto my shirt. What I love about this is, and this is the actual decal you will get, it actually looks like tassels, which I love. This is just a print, but I love that it looks like tassels. Rather than auctioning off the shirt, you guys had said, why don't I auction off the decal? So I'm auctioning off the decal. The winner will be able to decide, excuse me, thank you, Ava. The winner will be able to choose. I will print it on either an iron-on for dark shirts or an iron-on for white shirts. It's up to you. And you will take it home, and then you will assume the risk of ironing it on because they're not easy. You got to kind of Google. You got to iron it for a long enough period. There's all sorts of very careful. Mine worked perfectly, but you've got to read up on it and do it carefully. So there's that. Check it out. A couple other things. We've got this little sort of handicraft Ukrainian, I forget again, what do you guys call it? Needlepoint? What do you call this? You cross stitch? You had a name for it. But this is handmade in Ukraine by this family in southwestern Ukraine. Vlad's got the name of the town. I always want to say it's not Vinnytsia. It's another town similar to that. It is handmade. This is the front. This is the back. Mustard was asking. I put a video, Mustard, up of the back. The back, I like the red, but it's actually, the back actually works. Even though this is the back, it still works. This is the front, a little more pink. It's I've got the exact size. I think it's 26 inches by 11 inches or something. I've got the exact size in the description. Thank you, Cracker. Thank you, Tom. But it is from a family in southwestern Ukraine. Vlad got it. The family says it's from the 50s and 1950s, 1960s. I can't verify it. Needlepoint. Okay. But Vinogradiv, that's exactly what it is, user 336. That's where it's from. I'm going to say Vinogradiv. Vinogradiv. The Ukrainians always pronounce words with a funny stress, I find. But that's where it's from. Vinogradiv. I have not been to Ukraine. No. Cross stitch. So that is up for auction. The bracelet that somebody was mentioning, bracelet from Ukraine. This is a nice little blue and yellow, which are the Ukrainian colors. That's how you tie it on back. The Ukrainian trident there. But it's a nice little sort of petite bracelet for men or women, which is nice. It does sound like an Italian wine, doesn't it? Actually, just for fun, I also included, when I was in Asia last month in Bali, I picked up a fridge magnet that I just thought was really pretty. It's a pretty big fridge magnet, as you can see. But it's really pretty. It's the sea. It's kind of two-dimensional because it's got a little, well, three-dimensional. It's not two-dimensional, kind of three-dimensional-ish. It's got this little area where the turtle and this is that sticks out a little bit. But I just think it's really pretty. Like I said, I just thought it was a very pretty fridge magnet. And kind of unique. If you collect fridge magnets, it's from Bali, and I bought it in Bali. So, I mean, it's an added, it's not like I went to the local store in Washington and bought a Bali fridge magnet. You know what I mean? Mods, tell people where the auctions are, if you would. A couple more things. We've got some cool Ukrainian stickers. These are stickers about sort of the war and everything, you know, for peace, war and peace. It's in Ukrainian, it's in English. So a combination of stuff. So I'm not a sticker guy, but I know some of you are very into stickers. Okay. I love this. Let's see if anybody wants it. This is some soap I got in Singapore. It is some nice boutique soap. It is ginger with tea tree and lemon. It is absolutely, it smells like tea. It really does. It smells like ginger tea. It's absolutely gorgeous. It's supposed to be sort of a beauty bar, relax antioxidants. It's got all the description on the back. But I love this kind of stuff. I've always thought, thank you, FFA, lots of gifts there. Thank you. I've always liked this kind of stuff because it's the kind of things, at least for me, I would put in a guest bathroom, like in a little dish. And it's kind of a nice fancy soap for a guest bath, but I think they're really cool. Thank you, FFA. And finally, we've got another favorite, Ukrainian, what do you want to call this? This is a fridge magnet from the Ukrainian post office based upon a famous Ukrainian stamp. This is the depiction of the stamp, but obviously it's on cardboard. It's not a stamp, but it's the same. It is the stamp, so to speak. And it shows a Ukrainian soldier, his middle finger in the air, by the way. This is an actual Ukrainian stamp, okay? Middle finger in the air. Thank you, Chris, Christmas Hound. FFA, you really outdid yourself with the gifts. Thank you for those. This is a Ukrainian soldier flipping the middle finger to the Russian warship, the Moskva. The Russian warship, the Moskva, is the ship that the first day of the war attacked Snake Island in Ukraine and demanded that the Ukrainian troops surrender. And they said, Ukrainian troops, this is Russian warship, surrender or we will destroy you. And the Ukrainians responded, thank you, Bryce, and it's on audio. The audio was played worldwide. Russian warship, go F yourself. Except they didn't say F. They said, go, itsi nahui or whatever in Ukrainian. And then the Russians got really pissed and invaded. They may have killed some of the guys, but most of them got taken hostage, prisoners, and got released. Thank you, M. Fuller. So the Ukrainians made a stamp because, A, it's the Russian warship, go F yourself ship. But secondly, 6 weeks later, thank you, M. Fuller. Thank you, FFA. 6 weeks later, the Ukrainians developed a cruise missile. It's called Neptune cruise missile, fired the cruise missile and sunk the ship. I mean, talk about like the perfect revenge. This ship was the flagship of the Russian fleet in the Black Sea. So the sea right south of Ukraine there. I mean, it was their number one ship. And the Ukrainians sank it 6 weeks after they told the Russians to go F themselves. So the Ukrainians made a stamp showing a soldier, Ukrainian soldier, giving the middle finger to the Russian ship. And I love this. This obviously is a cardboard of it, but this is actually a real stamp. I mean, that the Ukrainians did, which is just amazing. Really kind of cool. Anyway, so that's always kind of fun too. That's kind of fun too. The Ukrainian, there is absolutely positively, Stig, there is some aspect here. I'm going to wipe my lens here. The Ukrainians did develop it. That doesn't mean they didn't develop it with somebody else, but I know for a fact the Neptune, the Ukrainians worked on the Neptune. It's something, now they may have gotten help from the Brits and you guys and others, but they absolutely developed it. Now, whether they developed it based on something else, I don't know. But I remember the story was not just they got a weapon from somebody else and used it. They actually improved it or something. Yeah, but they improved it somehow, unless the story was wrong at the time. But the Neptune is a Ukrainian developed weapon that they got help with others to do, as I believe. I believe you about providing stuff to them, but it was some kind of joint thing that they created. All right. You can find, I think people told you where to find the auctions. You can find the auctions over at our Discord community. You can find them over in the description of the show on YouTube. You'll see the link to Discord. For you guys, go to my profile on TikTok, look for the Linktree link, click it, and look for Discord. All right. So, Bretman, I'm not sure what you're talking about. Your defense secretary talking to Russia? Oh, you mean the American? Yeah, there was some kind of a talk finally between the American and Russian top defense officials for the first time since 2013 or 2023, so in a year. Yeah, it's good. It's good. I mean, we should be talking, right? Our defense officials should talk. There's nothing wrong with talking. When they talk and the lines of communication are open, there's less of a chance of a mistake. There's less of a chance of, something happens and we're trying to figure out are the Russians attacking us or not, right? So talking is good, always good. Rome, do you think Ukraine joins NATO after the war is over? No. First of all, I don't know how the war ends. That's the first problem. Okay. I'm sorry. M. Bad is saying the Neptune was surface to sea originally, updated to surface to surface. Okay. In any case, thank you, Russell, for the gift. I'm not sure how the war ends. Until the war ends in its entirety, like it's over, there's never going to be a war again. It's going to be tough for Ukraine to join NATO. Secondly, NATO has to want Ukraine to join NATO, and I don't think they want Ukraine to join NATO. I think Ukraine's proven itself much more in terms of militarily. NATO certainly is looking at Ukraine now and going, okay, on a military level, this is kind of cool. We've got a country on the border of Russia that can kick Russia's ass. That's kind of cool to have as an ally, as a NATO ally, right? So clearly, defense speaking, the NATO people are going, this is interesting. We don't want a country that's going to go to war with Russia, because then we all go to war with Russia. And then you got the Hungarians and the Slovaks who are Putin lovers. That's its own problem. So I worry that it's going to be a long time before NATO comes around on Ukraine, and that they're going to continue to be worried about making Russia angry, So there. Oh. Yeah. Well, Praxis. So I don't know. I agree. Praxis is putting up sort of Google the Neptune missile. You'll see what I'm talking about. It's Ukrainian developed. Maybe there's a role in Sweden here somewhere, but it is absolutely Ukrainian missile. Developed by Luke Design Bureau in Kyiv as an anti-ship missile with a laser variant for land attack. The design is based on the Soviet KH-35 subsonic anti-ship missile. Any case, who knows? Do I think North Korea will actually send troops to Ukraine? They may. I think at the very least, they'll probably send these engineers. And honestly, the North Koreans like screwing around. They like effing around. So I think North Korea would love to send some of its troops to screw around with NATO, because it's what they do. And Russia likes to screw around too. I think it's incredibly dangerous because, for example, the Ukrainians killed some North Korean troops, and the North Koreans may not be very happy about it because they're nuts. I mean, the North Korean leader is certifiably crazy. It makes things very dangerous. And the second a North Korean soldier steps in Ukraine, I think you are absolutely going to have more NATO soldiers. There's probably some there already. More NATO soldiers go to Ukraine as well. Because I guarantee you, if the North Koreans put troops there, we're bringing French and British and Baltic and Polish, if they're all willing to go to Ukraine as well. It's incredibly dangerous what the Russians are doing. But this is what Russia does. Russia wants to make. Actually, I will say this too. Hey, Martin in Sweden. Russia is always trying to psych us out. Russia is trying to scare us into not helping Ukraine. And one way to do that is to bring North Korean troops. So we go, oh my God, Russia's escalating. If North Korean troops are there, could North Korea get involved in the war? We better stop the war so North Korea doesn't go to war with us, right? It's part of Russia's psychological game to convince us, to basically make us blink first. And honestly, screw Russia as far as that goes. I think we tell the Russians, it's inahui, Russian warship, right? And you stand up to them and say, no, you're going to send North Korean troops, then we're going to send troops too. That's too bad, Oh, dog wants a little water. Didn't give the dog water before the show. One quick second. You know how this goes. All right, dog, a little bit of water. A little bit of water. All right, there we go. Now, what I am going to do is, in a second, I'm going to do my review of the news, and then we're going to go to Discord because we haven't done that in a while. Thank you, Lavery. Appreciate that. Intermission. It's the intermission when I go give the dog some water. But we're going to go to Discord and hang out for a little bit because I haven't done that in a while, and we just keep talking there. We'll go in a minute, but our Discord community, you can find the link in the description of the show on YouTube. You can find the link via my profile on TikTok. Click the Linktree link. Discord's the first thing to come up. If you're new, you got to go over there and click the buttons to prove you're not a troll and a bot and all that kind of stuff. JR, it's a good question. Will North Korean soldiers use Ukraine as a means to flee the country? You'd think some might. Part of the problem becomes if they've got family back in North Korea, they may not, because they'd be abandoned. I mean, how do you abandon your wife and kids, right? A, how do you abandon your wife and kids? And B, how do you do it in a country where they'll probably kill your wife and kids if you defect? Because they'll want to set an example that no other soldier should do it. So single soldiers might. Very interesting to see. I mean, that I would say, if I were the U.S., I would almost put that statement out there. I'd almost be like, North Korea, please do ship some soldiers to Ukraine because we can't wait until we offer each of them, 100 times the annual salary in North Korea to defect to the West and tell us everything about you. So, do I think China's sending arms to Russia via North Korea? Maybe. We just don't know yet about what China's doing. I mean, we know China is helping Russia in the war. There have been reports about China getting ready to send arms. I don't think we've had anything proven, so we don't really know. No, that's not true. I'm not even going to answer that one. Russian nuclear stuff is stupid. I will say it again. Guess what? Russia's got nuclear weapons. Guess who else has nuclear weapons? Hello, as do the Brits and the French. If Russia decides to throw nuclear weapons at us, we will throw nuclear weapons at them. And that means they won't do it. So the nuclear weapon thing is just kind of stupid. Now, would Russia use nuclear weapons in Ukraine? Well, if we wimp out, they will. If we don't make clear to Russia that using nuclear weapons is an act of war against NATO, because NATO's on the border there, then yeah, right? Then they may use them if in fact we don't make it clear that they'll go to war with us if they do, Anyway. All right. Well, the thing is, so FK2 says, why doesn't somebody shoot down the plane transporting Putin when he goes to North Korea? The thing is, we don't know that that's a good thing that Putin dies. One of the things, sort of a basic tenet of foreign policy. I've done a lot of foreign policy stuff in my life, studied it at graduate school, worked in it, etc. Now, putting aside for a moment that, assassinating world leaders probably, we're not supposed to like that. Okay. Generally speaking, we're supposed to think that that's only bad people do that. Let's put the judgment aside. If you're going to assassinate a world leader, you better know what's coming next, right? You don't want to kill somebody and have somebody worse come into power. That would be worse. You don't want to kill somebody and not know who's coming into power because that could be worse, right? So you kill Putin. We don't know that the next guy is going to be better. We have no reason to think the next guy is going to be better. So that's the first problem. Second of all, you very much should worry when killing dictators because sometimes you kill dictators and they're the only thing holding the country together. They're the glue holding it because they're dictators. The dictator dies and the whole country falls apart. There is certainly concern about Russia falling apart into 15, 30, 150, whatever countries if Putin were to die. Now, you might say that's a good thing. It is a good thing to some degree. I mean, there is an argument that it's a good thing if Russia falls apart. Russia is our enemy. Russia is a force of evil in the world. They've been a force of evil for a very long time. Certainly since the time of the Soviet Revolution in 1917, probably before that, my history kind of starts at 1917, but I know of it before. The Russians have been pretty bad for 100 years now. If Russia were to cease to exist or disappear or fall apart, yeah, that's good, right? But it's not good when you're a nuclear country like Russia is, because the country starts to fall apart and you've got each little area of Russia gets to keep its nukes, or will try to keep its nukes. So all of a sudden, could you have, 13, 12, 10, 8 different countries that now have nuclear weapons, right? Well, Yugoslavia, good example. Charlie says Yugoslavia fell apart. How many countries did it end up making? 6, 7 former Yugoslavia? Is it 5, 6 maybe that turned into countries? A lot of them went to war against each other. Imagine if they had nuclear weapons too. 7, Flick says. Okay. Imagine if they had nuclear weapons too. So now they go to war against each other and they've got nukes. That is dangerous, right? So that's why if you had a choice to kill Putin, you might not want to do it because A, you don't know if the guy coming next is going to be worse. B, you don't know if the country is going to fall apart. And C, if the country falls apart, it's a nuclear country and you don't know that a nuclear war might not start between these various powers. So if you can't account for all of that, you want to be careful. I assumed it's a bot. Yeah. If it's a bot, mods, just get rid of the person. But I like to answer these questions. Some of these questions, because, if the person's a bot, just get rid of them. All right, guys, I'm going to do a quick summary of the news, and then we're going to go to Discord so we can hang out a little bit. All right, mods, tell people one more time how to find Discord if you would. Let me do a quick summary of the stories we covered today, and then I'm going to go to Discord. We'll hang out. We'll talk more there. And I'm going to put a pizza in the oven so I can eat. All right. Today's day 853 of Putin's special 3-day military operation in Ukraine. An employee of the U.S. Embassy in Ukraine died in Kyiv, according to a U.S. State Department spokesman who says that the death was of natural causes. The Russians didn't do it. I'm a little bit suspicious. Wall Street Journal reporter Evan Gershkovich appeared in a Russian court today facing a false accusation of espionage in a secret trial. The Russians are basically taking him hostage and using him to negotiate for some super spy being released. So they're trumping up charges against the guy. Now they're having a secret trial, just like dictators do. The U.S. today warned North Korea about sending troops to Ukraine, saying they will be used as cannon fodder. There's concern the North Koreans may actually be sending troops to be used as military aids. Ukraine's military intelligence agency carried out a cyber attack on several of Russia's largest internet providers in Crimea. Satellite imagery obtained by Radio Free Europe, Radio Liberty shows at least 2 pockets of fire consistent with local accounts of 2 drones attacking the field ammunition depot in one Russian region yesterday. The European Union is expected to sign a security agreement with President Zelensky of Ukraine soon. New York Times reports that NATO will offer, thank you, PA, NATO will offer Ukraine a new headquarters to manage its military assistance in Germany. In lieu of offering Ukraine NATO membership, they're giving them an office in Germany. That's very sweet and stupid. A satellite purchased via Ukrainian crowdfunding campaign took 4,000 images of Russian targets in almost 2 years, causing billions of dollars of damage to the Russian military. Mark Rutte, the Prime Minister of the Netherlands, is just being appointed as the next NATO Secretary General. He'll be taking over in October. Estonian Prime Minister Kallas will take over as the next European Union foreign policy chief. That's nice because she's very hawkish on Ukraine and very hawkish on Russia, meaning harsh towards Russia. And finally, President Zelensky signed a law today establishing English as an official language of the international communication in Ukraine, which is, I think, a good thing because it just helps Ukraine in the long run, making English one of its sort of official government business languages, at least. Thank you, Dive Hard. Because it just helps Ukraine integrate more with the West as time goes on and with the big boy economies versus the falling apart economy to the East. So, all right, guys, that is it today. Thank you for joining us. We are going over to Discord. Somebody just gave gift memberships. That was very generous of you. Whoever just gave the gift memberships on TikTok. Somebody want to tell me really quick before we go, but that was very nice of you. And those of you who got the gift memberships, by the way, Kuma, John, Dash, Danger, and Tom, that means you can join our weekend show that I do every Saturday morning at 11 a.m. Eastern Time, U.S. only for the gift members, for the gifted donors. You get that for a month for free. Thank you, Ginger. Thank you, Dive Hard. So yeah, Blue Ariel. Thank you, Blue Ariel. You're usually the one who does it. Thank you for that. Saw it again. It works randomly, unfortunately. It just sort of TikTok and YouTube just give it out randomly to people. So there's no way for us to give you one. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. And even me, like TikTok gives me some free ones, but it limits who I can give them to. I don't know why. It's kind of stupid. So anyway, hopefully at some point somebody will give some free ones and you will get one. Thank you, family. All right, guys. So that was nice of you, Blue Ariel. Thank you. So that was just you, Danger Runner. It was Blue Ariel who commented right before you. He's the one who got you the gift. Oh, somebody just got another one here. All right. Another one for Omar, John, Mitchell, Hawk, Bernard, and Omar again. Now, who did Dawn? Was that Dawn this time? Thank you, Dawn. Thank you. So at least a number of you guys have gift certificate or gift membership. So that's good. You'll get them for a month. And it means you can join you get little emojis too that you can use during the show. You can check them out today. But you can join our Saturday show, which is nice. As I said, it's a fun hangout we do every Saturday morning, pretty much every Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern time. That's 11 a.m. New York City time. I'm in Washington, D.C., same time zone. And we hang out and talk, but it's not, no problem. Use your 474. It's kind of a nice hangout because it's, I don't actually write up the news for that day. It's just us hanging out. I can see all of your questions. I can see all of your comments. It's a much smaller group. And this way, like, you get a good hour of just talking, asking questions, whatever you want, but we can actually have a back and forth. All right. I'm going over to Discord. You can find Discord in the link in my profile on TikTok. Click it, look for Discord. You have the link directly in the description of today's show on YouTube. You'll see a Discord link. If you're new to Discord, it's a little bit of a PITA. You got to go over there, click I accept the rules, blah, blah, blah. But eventually you will see in the left-hand column, sort of towards the top, John's After Party. Go over there, join us. We'll be there for a bit. I am going to put a pizza on, but we'll be there for a good 20 minutes, maybe longer. Like I said, I'm going to put a pizza on shortly. Oh, and we got 2 more subscribers, which I'm going to guess somebody for Irvis and Nasty. Nasty. Rusty. I don't have my glasses on. I read your name as Nasty. I kind of like that, though. That's kind of funny, though. Nasty. That would be a good name. I don't know who did those. Somebody gifted them, I'm guessing, to Irvis and Rusty. If so, tell me quickly. I only because I like to thank you guys before I sign off. Anyway, okay. YouTubers, sign off. Oh, Cheryl, you did. Thank you, Cheryl. Very sweet of you. I never know what the Subwave is. It says we get a limited emoji from Subwave. I don't know if that means you guys have access to an extra emoji now or something. Does somebody want to look at TikTok really quick and see? Is there some new emoji you have access to, it claims? Okay, YouTube, I'm going to hang up, go over to Discord. We'll see you guys. Good night. TikTok, like I said, we're trying to sort of see how that works. I'm not entirely sure. All right, TikTok, I'm going to sign off and go over to